back to Awaken Truth, Make Up Your Power podcast. I am your host, Nicole, with my angels on the side of me, Tina and Stephanie, co-host, whatever you want to call them. But I love them and I love this panel. And today we are talking about the pressure to have life figured the fuck out. Like, let's be real, guys. Who does? Who needs to? And even if you did, you know life's gonna throw a wrench to say, we got to shake it up a little. So that's what we're kind of here to talk about today is kind of giving yourself some, like Tina always says, grace, and realizing that life is always going to continue to unfold no matter how prepared we are. However, it's also still good to kind of have a plan, but still releasing control of the outcomes. So we'll kind of talk about, comparing our journeys to, say, other people and how that can end up kind of creating the pressure as if we don't have life figured out. But to start off with the energy forecast, even though we're kind of talking about something like this, I also want to share. Hold on.
All right. Well, I guess
She must have.
I guess while
She
she
do.
takes a pause, I don't think there is a roadmap to life. So, if anybody's trying to figure out what that roadmap looks like, I'd say pause. There will save you some time. Life certainly does not come with instructions, directions, or a timeline. Well, it has a timeline. You just don't know what it is. Oh,
Guys,
she's
listen.
back.
We have a
Yeah, I
timeline for this podcast, but apparently we're not following it.
no, I'm going to be completely transparent. My face is red, and this is real. I'm raw, and I don't care if I get judged
You're
because I
not
am who
red.
I am. Oh, I am. I am because I'm so embarrassed right now. And it might happen again. And if it does, and I go silent, this is why. So when I'm talking about comparison culture with not having to have it all figured out, that was my washing machine. So what happens is that my washing machine is like off balance. So when she gets that final go, she sounds like she's getting that final go. Okay. Well, she was not going to dryer. So that's why I had to go run to get it to
I
stop
didn't
to
even
come
hear it.
back. Oh, it happened.
I thought you were
'Cause
going
it
to say
did.
you fart.
I wish.
I
You know
thought
how
it would
many
be
times
more
I've had
dramatic.
that
That's
happen?
what
We all didn't
I
even
thought
know.
she was going to say too.
No, no. I'd let you know. I would let you know. I'm a free bird like that. If I rumble in the Bronx, you listen, we all got some air in us that need to come out sometimes. But luckily for y'all, I was back. It doesn't matter for a few days. Now I'm better, so we're good. But yeah, so that's what was happening. Everybody, welcome in.
See,
And don't
Nicole
judge
doesn't even
yourself.
have life figured out, everybody.
No, and you know what? I don't want to
Right.
because I feel like if I had life all figured out, then I'm missing out on the fun that can
Yeah.
happen in moments like this of uncertainty. And
Yep.
those are the moments that you can really kind of allow yourself to just fall into, laugh at, lighten up about, not kind of take it so serious. So that's where I find it so divine and funny that that happened right there. So here we
Well,
are.
you're all good.
Oh, I thought that was great. That was priceless. And on top of it too, like when we're talking about comparing ourselves to um the pressures around us of like what somebody else has going on, I can say that a couple of years ago for me, I was very much like that. Like I thought that when I was on my journey of, with my weight loss and my sobriety journey, I thought that as soon as I started working for myself, that there was a look I had to have, and I had to carry myself a certain way. And then I realized yesterday, and this sounds weird, as I was going through my closet and going through all of those clothes from that time period, how much I'm no longer that girl anymore, and how much all of those clothes were
They're just
all of those.
validating.
Yes, they're confirming for me that this is my life, guys. Welcome. Um, Manon, come on. You're good. Stop. Um, okay, the image of what I was before. It was like the more that I looked a certain way, then that was showing the success of who I was. And what's funny now is that when the washing machine does what it does, which this washing machine's been around for over 10 years, it's a reminder of the humble beginnings of where life is, and of the things that I don't care. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's been happening on and off for a while now, and we're at a point where we're just letting it's happening right now. You hear it? Yeah, where we're just gonna let it happen.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you for the confirmation. Spirit reach me. No, I'm just kidding. But it's to say, like, but it's one that was given to us. I had purchased stuff for my sister when I was starting to start off and out on my own, and she was going to move in with her now wife. She kind of just left all of her stuff there and said, "Here, if you want it, here's a set price." Said, "Okay." So we're literally just kind of letting a timeline go. It
If you
sounds kind
want
of
it,
silly
here's
when
said price.
huh?
If you want it, here's said price.
I'm not saying the price is what I'm getting at.
I just didn't think there'd be a price tag.
Oh, there definitely was. Thank you for confirmation again. See again, what I think is in my mind a little off, but then where you kind of validate it. This is what this platform's about. And when you realize the situations that you're in and you step more into your power, things like that you start to honor. So that's why that's kind of like the last. I'm pretty sure it's a. I think we might have one other thing, and then it's all the rest. But that's what I mean about when you just get to a place of the things that you would hold so true that it defined who you were, that you start to realize like don't. And what defines you more so is the challenges that you face and how you overcome them, process them, and end up making that part of your power. So then that way you're not getting pressured by a society that really like, you know what I mean? Like, do you like they're not cool. Just saying, it's not as cool as you think it is.
All right, so I don't know how we're going to get back on topic after this, but I'm gonna
That was on topic.
yeah
What do you
yeah
mean?
kind of it kind of was humbling. I got humbling out of that.
Wiggle me back in. Well, no, it's just saying that that's humiliating. That could be completely humiliating. Somebody can be some kind of way about it. I'd rather just call it out, make entertainment of it. Out of before, I probably would have been so embarrassed or wouldn't have gotten mad or would have had a whole day of feeling like incompetent or losers. Just things that can
I
happen.
think what just happened falls I think what just happened falls under like the next, because we're talking about timeline pressure, but we're also talking about comparison culture. So now that right there could be a comparison of she's talking about being embarrassed that she's got a washing machine that does this and not a brand new washing machine like the Joneses up the street. So
Carl and
it
Sue.
does kind of fall in there. We just went out of order.
Well, it is humbling, Nicole. Like I'll use life currently. I'm learning to change behaviors because I am not working right now, right? I'm surviving, I'm fine, and I still have the autonomy to still be able to go out and enjoy life with friends. But I noticed the other day so I don't know if you know this, Stephanie, but I'm a QVC whore. And QVC actually reached out to make sure I was okay. They haven't received any orders from me in a while.
Good. That's a habit to get rid of. It's like
Well,
going to the
that's good
casino.
that they care. So that was nice, but it is humbling. But I think when we start to really talk about life and timelines and being rushed and not sure, the uncertainty, it's also like it's also linked back to your old identity. Like it no longer fits the one you're currently in. So what I just said about my current situation, it's humbling because I'm learning to be a different person. I don't
Yes.
have that free will to be like, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. You need that. I got it. Like I wish I could still be doing that, but right now I need a pause from it. And life is teaching me you need to take that pause. So it's part of that shift. It's I'm outgrowing things. I'm learning to live differently.
Would you say that you're kind of seeing things from a higher perspective more so too, that like your way of like doing as you were able to do before is shifting in how you're able to show up in a
Yes.
good way, though, in a more
Yes.
meaningful, deeper, under the surface way.
You still show up. You definitely do still show up, but you show up in a different way. Like you and Brian show up at the holidays to help those that are underprivileged and don't have food, right? But yet, where's that money's taxing for you and Brian because you're using your money around the holidays to cook for other people. And
That's how we
that's
celebrate the
humbling.
holidays now.
What?
That's how we actually celebrate the holidays now.
And,
Is that
and
we,
that's
yeah, we just make
wonderful.
food and we do more. But yeah, I agree with you. Our means before used to be buying the gloves, the socks, the scarves. So I totally get where you're coming from with
Yeah.
that. And now it's more we're baking homemade breads or muffins or meals and stuff like that as instead of just the other. So yeah, it's like shifting, but still, it's like an evolution of self in a way.
Well, and it kind of goes back to a conversation on is what Friday, Wednesday around intuition and it's more about feeling the truth of who you truly are because with or without you are still you. It just depends on the version of you that shows up in that moment.
What do you want to feed more of?
Right.
And as a society too, I think collectively that's kind of really unfolding as well. Like I think a lot of people are starting to see even the what they gave power to. Like a lot of the times it was actors, actresses, brand names, stuff like that. I'm being honest when I say that. And I think collectively everybody's starting to shift and want to see more substance, more of like what we were just mentioning under the surface, beneath the surface. Kind of like I don't care about what your name brand bag is anymore. I want to know who are you as a person and how are you being of service to people. Does that make sense?
Well, it does because I think politically this world has shifted, right? There's people who are trying to speak louder than what our politicians are trying to force into this space. I not gonna lie, I've got lots of designer purses, but for me in those moments, they were things I bought myself when I accomplished a very big to do, whether it was a project or an initiative, like something that I felt like I just wanted to reward myself for because probably a whole month of my entire life, if not more, went into that work. So for me, when you see me wearing a designer purse, it was a reward to myself. It was not a look at me. I can afford this. It was for me, it was empowering to say, I could buy this for myself.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's more of like that designer. Okay, so meaning example wise, what is that designer doing on a deeper level?
Right.
Because the value, if the value is there, people will pay all day. We talk about this all the time. People will pay all day for your value if you connect with them in a way that brings
Yeah.
substance to that person, right? And I just think that the way that the substances are looking more now is that when I wear this, I'm wearing more than just the because is it the designer at that point that was even making that? You know what I'm saying? Like it got very much away from the creator. There's the word, the creator aspect, and it became more about putting so much money on it to make it a value. Does that make sense? Outside of the shift of where you look at it, that's not what I mean, but
Mhm.
and I think that's where we're kind of just seeing more of that shift than people who are spending all this money wearing this expensive stuff on themselves. Like I'm talking about like influencers and stuff like that.
Well, and it goes. I agree. So yes, I'll agree, and then I'm gonna say, but let's take it past tangible items and designer purses and clothing, but it's also about professional imaging, right? There are people in this world that have been shamed for who they are without knowing who they are in the inside, right? So I think going back to what you were trying to say is the value of what you see may not match the value inside. So I could walk around with this designer purse and be a total fucking bitch and feel like I'm better than you. But in reality, I'm just wearing this because for me, it's a proud moment. It makes me remember how hard I worked to be able to purchase this for myself. So yeah, I get it. It's that internal feeling and how you look at it, but it's society. It's the I guess we're talking about culture and how we have to fit into the culture space too. So maybe this is part of that conversation is culturally, you will see people wearing things and scratch your head and say, how did they buy that? Or cars that they drive, right? Like I hate to say this because it's gonna, my true colors are out there. So I was at a grocery store. It was years ago. My father was still alive. It's a store in New Haven, Ferrara's, where people go to buy things at a less expensive price.
Mm-hmm.
Good food, good meat, whatever. And I'm in line with this lady. She's got a whole cart. She goes to pay. She's trying everything she's got. She can't cover the bill. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, I see she's trying to pay with like state funds. So I just said to the lady, just tell her to go up. I got to get the hell out of here. My father's about to have a nervous breakdown because he can't stand being around people. And I'm stuck in a line with this woman who put a whole cart of food together and she can't afford it. So I say, I'll just cover her bill, whatever. So there was like a $75 tab left on her thing. So we leave. My father's yapping at me the entire way. Stephanie, I think you just went sideways. And
yeah, I don't know what happened.
We get out to the parking lot and she's getting into a Cadillac Escalade. My father's like, see? I said, no. We can't assume. We can't assume. It could be somebody else's car. He's like, Yep. But that was a moment for me, a reflection that obviously 7-8 years ago I still talk about because I thought I did what I thought was the right thing to do and I would never change the way I handled it. But then to go out there, I had to slap in the face without even understanding the truth to her story. I was just like, wow, all right. Let me now get you to my little Ford Edge and we'll load my groceries and take off in your Cadillac.
But that also shows kind of like the character.
Well, you never know what somebody's
right.
You never know what somebody's gone through because I have a friend that she had a job for 25 plus years and there were some changes in the economy and how things were done with the employer and she lost her apartment. Yep. She was living in a hotel for a while, but so you never know somebody's situation, what they're going through and how they ended up where they are right now with an Escalade and state assistance.
Right. And that's where I stand, Stephanie. Like I stand in that space of you can't just assume. But I saw a lady who needed to get certain food home for her family. But then I have a man who's in his 70s at the time, not feeling well, like ready to choke me because in his mind, he can't wrap his head around. Why would you go to the grocery store if you can't pay for the food? Like, that's the mentality. Like, when I would tell him how much milk would cost, he'd be like, that's ridiculous. You need to start going to, like, I don't know, Walmart and see if it's cheaper. I'm like, Dad, it's milk. That's the price of milk. Like, it is what it is.
But that goes back to what I was thinking of when you guys were talking is the value of the dollar.
Yeah.
The man-made dollar at that, and how so much value was put into this dollar. So then it got taken away from, being the creator and of service and started making it more of a competition that the more something is, the more value you hold as a person. which is where I think comparison culture really stepped in, and it took away from really having to be valuable as a person anymore, because it's like, well, this dollar amount says this, so then you just take your chances, or you're spending all this money. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've personally seen or experienced people who have worked and worked and worked to buy special kind of sneakers to not even fucking wear them.
Yeah.
You just put them up in a fucking box and collect, 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 and that's okay. But what I'm saying is, at the same time, is that that was created into society to say that that's what value is. And now that person, from an experience that we've had together, she told me she has now since gotten rid of all of them because she started seeing what that actually looked like.
And it's also, I think, subconsciously the feeling to fit in.
Yeah, and fuck
Right.
if I can.
Mhm.
It's the crowd you run with. I mean, there are people who are very they can be competitive in the sense that they have to have the best of everything.
Materialistic, yeah.
Just for that reason.
But now when I see that, my thought is, okay, if these people are putting this much investment, this is just my perception, this much investment into the materialism, then there is so much happening beneath the surface that they don't want to look at, that they need to glam up. Because in my surroundings and in my environments growing up, it was, look how nice this looks out here. This looks great. While inside, it was a fucking nightmare in moments. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what I'm now. So when now I look at that culture and I'm seeing all the material, I'm seeing people who are trying to create people to be enslaved to the dollar, instead of they're really trying to invest in which genuinely going to bring them purpose. And I now look at life as, I would rather invest more in experiences and something that's completely my own than in a pair of friggin' shoes that I'm going to be uncomfortable in, dude. Like, is where I'm personally at. This is no judgment to anybody else, but I'm saying throughout my journey of experiences, this is where I've come to.
Yeah.
Now.
Yep, it makes sense.
Yep.
It makes sense.
But it doesn't mean that in other areas I'm not feeling.
I've spent
Go ahead.
I spent a lot of my life feeling like I needed to catch up, or, be equal to the Joneses. And, single mom, 3 kids, that's just not gonna happen. But I just, I did things for the wrong reasons, to try to, have those appearances, to try to make myself equal to other people. Now I would rather buy something for $5 off Amazon than, buy a name brand something, just because it's the name brand. And now it's more of focusing on purchasing or saving up and working towards things that mean more to us. Like you guys both said, we want to be out in this camper, so we're focusing on that and focusing on making this somewhere where we can be, in nature and ground ourselves and all of that, instead of worrying about, the fancy cars and the fancy this and the fancy that.
Yep.
That continue to cost money on top of it.
Right.
Really. Yeah. Yeah. Because in a moment, that stuff can be gone and taken from you. And at the end of the day, when we do perish from this world and we do return back to Earth Mother, we can't take a single piece of that with us. So I believe my personal thing is that I would rather live it as authentically true to myself as I can and be of purpose on this planet, because at the end of the day, when people are at my funeral or whatever, or at my memorial, whatever the hell it is, that they're talking about the person that I was towards them, not about what I did or didn't physically have.
Oh, it never comes down to that.
Exactly.
It never comes down to that.
And some people don't realize that until after a moment like that happens.
Yeah. Like, you're gonna be remembered. And I say this to a lot of people in my coaching world. What is your legacy? Because when you leave, what do you want people to remember about you and talk? Like, What are those memories that are going to continue to be talked about at different, tables or gatherings? Is it going to be that you drove a Porsche, or is it going to be that you went from rags to riches on your own, built your own lifestyle, created everything on your own? That's the story. It's not the Porsche itself, but it's the story that leads you to that Porsche. It's the value of the work, the commitment, the success, the belief you had in yourself, and the value you invested in yourself.
And my Porsche just happens to be our property.
Right.
That we're towards. But yeah, you're completely right in sharing that. That's a very valuable point, because it's all about what you really see the value in is going to be what you get the value from.
It's like manifestation, right? Like I'm manifesting, I don't know, let's just say a big man, I'm not, because I don't want to clean it, a big house, beautiful grounds, right? If you manifest that and you get that because you worked hard to get to that point, that's your story. It's not, oh, Tina lived in this beautiful house. It's, you know what Tina did in her life to get to where she was when she left this world?
Back to finding the power in the pain and the difficulty.
That's right.
The hard times. Yep. Resilience.
Yep. I want to pivot. I want to see if you're okay with this. So I want to know if there's thoughts or value into adding into the conversation the expectations that we carry of others that's not actually ours, and how that impacts us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's jump in.
So if you look at most of the pressure, the anxiety, the materialistic things that are around you, does that pressure to live like that come from your soul, your inner self, or is it coming from a script that's been created and narrated for you, and maybe one you didn't agree to?
I'm so ridiculous. I would say take the maybe out and say for certainty. But yeah, no, you're completely right, because a lot of the times we're trying to meet expectations from those around us rather than what is it that we have for ourselves.
Yep. Right? Nope, I agree. I mean, I think the belief that just had the word at the tip of my tongue. The belief that certainty equals success needs to be replaced with how curiosity leads you forward into success, because the curiosity is your... Okay, am I the only one hearing bells?
Nope, that was confirmation. Thanks, Steph. Yeah,
okay.
That was good confirmation.
So it's more about like...
That was my phone.
All right. I was like, hey, maybe, who knows? But like, is it curiosity that moves you forward? In my mind, it's what's in my head. It's always the why, the what, the who. So when you flip it into the curiosity space, you can actually match the success of others or of your own expectations just by being in a space of, why not me? Why am I not deserving of that?
Yep.
We spend a lot of time in saying, I'm not good enough, but let's flip it. I am good enough, and I want to live like that. So how do I get there?
Right. Becoming inspired rather than pressured.
Right. Right. And I think women carry this the most. I don't know. Guys aren't really all that materialistic unless they're real pricks. But like, we as women, especially if you're an empath, right? You feel the vibes of others, and I think you can get caught in that vicious circle of, I want that versus I don't need that. Do you want or do you need? I think there's a big difference versus it. I want that person in my life. I need that person in my life. When you say I want that person in my life, you're ready to make a commitment and put the work into it. When you say I need that person in my life, it comes across more of from a selfish perspective. That you're fulfilling your own needs. You're not going to meet the needs of that other individual.
You'll be let down every time if you even try doing that. Because at the end of the day, it's all of
it's all work.
We're living a life unlearning what we picked up around us from our environments. And as we're unlearning, taking the pauses, taking the steps, taking the times to ground and stuff like that will help you start to sift what was brought onto you and expose what is more a part of you. And we really can't get there unless we have those kinds of conversations, like with what we're having here, and seeing like, why is this have so much value to me? Like, why am I giving it so much value? Like Tina said, is that value in this Porsche because my grandfather had a Porsche or always wanted one and he worked so hard and created a business from the ground up, never could make it to a Porsche, so I now took over the business and I got it to where it needed to, so now I have that Porsche? That could mean it there. Or is it because the people around me have these Porsches and I keep getting shit like I'm a loser, so I need to go get something bigger than a Porsche? It's more there. It's all about perception on what is it that's going to drive you, and is it inspiring you, or is it just out of ego? Because if it's just out of ego, it's going to end up, you're still going to be miserable, because there's plenty of rich people out there that aren't happy. And I'll tell you what, a lot of the rich people that I've had interactions with, or very wealthy, very business, started from the ground up type people, you wouldn't think, because they're not driving around Porsches. They're not dressed in suits. They look like farmers. They
Yep.
look real laid back, real you and me kind of. And it's interesting because when I've been around more suits, they have been the first to try to pull one over on you, in my experience. In my experience. And then there's others that you never would have thought. And they're the ones that give you an island to get married on.
Well,
That's been my experience. You see what I mean?
suits, in my experience, are tied to the ego with the title. Titles, for some reason, are very important to people. They, you know, it's really interesting to watch. But when you want that title just for your own personal growth and you put the work to get to that point, that's different. That's a reward for who you are and what you've done. But to be placed in that position without having done the work or anything to speak to your background or your history, it changes the ego a bit, right? It brings out that ego. It's like, oh yeah, she knew, she's friends with the owner's son.
See, I work for salons.
And I think that the work getting there, I know there's a delay. The work getting there, Tina, I think shows more where you're helping other people,
The character.
being there for others, being like a leader, when it's the ego side is more for me. And so I think there's a big difference there as well.
Oh, there is. I have a potential client coming in for an organization that's a mean girl, and she's at the top of the food chain. Oh, I can't wait. I just can't wait.
Num, num, num. I was going to say, I work for corporate salons, and when you're working for bigwigs and they never even cut a single strand on somebody's head, let alone they're not licensed, they don't have a fucking clue of the business. That stuff is aggravating because they're the ones inevitably writing your paycheck. And I can't tell you how many times I would be paid and told I was one thing. And then if they got disgruntled, because Nicole, she will stand her ground on stuff if it's not right. Then you'll take the raises Like, that's not okay. Once I'm paid at this point, I should stay paid at this point and
Mhm.
keep increasing. It shouldn't be now we're going to give you less. It shouldn't be that way. So it's also kind of looking, but then there was the other aspects of the environment he was creating in a different way. But at the end of the day, when is too big? Right? When is a business getting too big that it's no longer about the value of the consumer and just the
Oh.
person that's working for you? Oh, I hit
Oh, I'm
something.
going through that right now. Oh man.
Speak on it.
Where I'm at right now is right. No, a company that just grew too fast and things are just kind of they're not working the way they're supposed to be working, and it's just a struggle for everybody, and it's just causing issues because we grew too fast.
Yeah, I'll say that in my last job, we took over a lot, and where I saw the biggest shift in the culture was where the leaders at the highest level asking us all to walk the walk, talk the talk, didn't do it themselves,
Oh, I can't stand
and they don't realize the people below them are actually paying attention to that. And then the conversation turns into, well, if our CEO doesn't have to do it, why do I have to do it?
Yep.
And
Mhm.
when sometimes it's kind of like when you think about Congress, there should be max limits on how long they can stay in those roles before they have to move on. There are people in executive spaces that have exhausted their time. They've contributed, they've done really good stuff, but it's time to move on.
When's the retirement age?
What do you mean, for individuals or
Keeps moving.
Yeah,
When
where are you
was
going
the
with this?
retirement age? Wasn't it 65?
Well, Medicare, you have to be 65 to get onto Medicare, but your retirement age is based off of your birth year.
Fuck is that?
So I think mine is 67.
What?
They keep moving it though. It's going to be 70 before I can even retire.
Okay,
And you and I are the
let's.
same
This
age.
is where I'm at though. This is what I mean about the select few trying to pull along everybody. This whole heaven on earth after you slave your life away and die. But if we have it at just say we'll say 65 universally, it is at 65. Why in the fuck do we have a president that's gonna be 80?
Well,
80.
well, let's add an extra spin, and I hate politics. You have an 80-year-old, but you also have a convicted felon. At any place I've ever worked, you couldn't hire a felon unless they've been 7 years out of their.
This man's made $2 billion in a year as a president.
I understand, but what I'm also saying is there are no rules in that space, because the laws that have been defined around
Money.
felons and what the hell is it? I can't even talk. I have no words today.
I'm getting Tina jumbled because we're talking about this.
What's the opposite of felony?
Misdemeanor?
Misdemeanor. So the states define convictions between misdemeanors and felonies. And they put a timeline on how long you have to be outside of that misdemeanor or that felony before some organizations will hire you. We have the man at the highest level of our government with 37 felonies, and he's 80, and yet, like,
and
to your point,
his name is in the Epstein files more times than fucking Jesus is in the Bible. So this is where we're at as a society.
I get so uncomfortable about politics because I
know it's why I love talking about it.
No, because it's not because I don't like talking about it. It's because I have certain family that are triggered to ready to shoot the shit out of you if you say the wrong word.
That's why I am protected the way that I am, because I've got a mouth, but it's not. But the thing of it is, at the end of the day, sit across from the table from me and tell me how I'm wrong. I am open to a great conversation. I don't believe in debating, because I believe what society did with the word debate was intentionally say somebody needs to be wrong. When I think we could sit at a table and have differing opinions and gain something out of that conversation, even if for me it is, oh, this person is completely unself-aware of themselves, I can still sit and have a conversation with anybody. I really genuinely can. And the truth is always going to come out. And the reality of it is that everybody is trying to, that's almost like where spiritual bypassing can come in. Act like it's not happening. But the thing of it is that karmically speaking, these guys look at it as, we're saying it, the world knows about it, and nobody's doing nothing about it. So what happens is that the rest of the collective becomes enslaved to their karma, because they're still paying taxes into it. They're still funding.
But you know what's hysterical?
That taxes weren't even supposed to be something you're supposed to do. It was supposed to be a donation.
Yeah, no.
Oh.
I read somewhere this individual who was interviewed by a newscaster usually put $60 worth of gas in his tank to fill it. It cost him $120 to fill it this go round. And he this is where I get worried about where this world is going, because it's almost like, you know, the brainwashed few that really feel like things are doing the right thing. His response to the newscaster was, things are going so well that now my truck can hold $120 worth of gas. He couldn't conceptualize that he just paid double for the same amount of gas. And I'm like,
that's on purpose.
Like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so important at this time to think for yourself.
You people had to put that on the news, though. That poor man and his family.
That on the news, they put our president on the news every day. How terrible is that for the world?
Yeah, well, this is a constant reminder.
I mean, but at the end of the day, guys, when we're talking about these conversations and the whole keeping up with the Joneses or the comparison culture, it's very much showing in the collective, and we can see it. Nobody is missing it. What that's really getting people at this time, because the ones that are still looking at their value, like, let's be real, the Met Gala, very artistic, beautiful thing. You're supposed to dress up, you're supposed to look great. But when you have as much happening in the world, and you have these artists and you have these influencers and these people who really have a big audience, not standing up for the people who are giving them that pedestal, it makes stuff like the Met Gala just seem like these people are just, they choose not to be aware that they thrive in trying to show it off, because they know that for as long as there's going to be them, there's going to be an us, meaning a division. And as a society, the more that we can think for ourselves, we'll step out and see more of the what's really unfolding. And I think that's what a lot of people are seeing, is that, like, get it together, like, see what's really happening, invest all of that money into something that's really going to help make a change, instead of just acting ignorant to what's actually going on. I think that Trump does a great job, and I will refuse to say that name again, at exposing all of that. That's been happening for a long time under his eye. For a very long, sorry if anybody watched Handmaid's Tale or Testaments.
I was gonna say, you just
I sure did. But I said it in reference because very much we're seeing a society like this play out. There are two different worlds that are going on at this time. There's fear-based control, comparison, draining your life force energy, meaning like you're going to just be enslaved to working, and then you'll die, and then there'll be heaven. And then there's going to be the other world of more seeing it for what it is, and knowing that you got to do a little more work, meaning you're not going to have all these things that were given to you so easily. Like, think about it. Power was given to you. Water was given to us, right? Mother Earth always had it. We always had somewhere to live. We always had free water. We always had food that the birds shit it out all over the place and berries come up. We've always had free access to all these things. But we had a select few that started controlling those sources, those resources. So now it's up to us to start independently using those resources. So then that way we are needing those sources less. So it's just really about at the end of the day coming back to finding your own power. It's going to take more effort, it's going to take more awareness. Um but it'll mean more in your legacy at the end of the day. Is kind of where I was going with that.
Everything going on right now in this world just has me so confused a lot of the
That's
time.
purposely done.
So, just confused on how people can think the way that they think and, believe what they're believing. And I just, like, I don't expect anything from anybody anymore at this point. It's like I'm just looking at myself and, my very small circle of people, um, just because I don't know, I feel like I'm walking around all the time just being like,
What the fuck?
what? Really?
Yeah, that's me. Yep.
Exactly.
I often find myself going, did that just fucking happen? Like, and I look around because I'm like, did anybody else see that? Anybody else hear that? Like, or was that message just for me?
Yeah, but it's all this is all, if we want to get astrological and spiritual and stuff, this is all a pattern. So if everybody can really see that these are all patterns that are playing out and repeating themselves, but it's giving us an opportunity to stop it this go around. So that way it doesn't continue to repeat itself. And I think that's why a lot of people are turning more into their immediate community and turning more away from the public eye in that regard, because they're wanting to put more empowerment into what they want to build, their generational wealth for whatever that looks like. And that might not just be immediate blood family. That might be what you can call soul family members that come in, people who just get you, they understand you, you connect. You guys are bringing something to the table that's empowering and uplifting. Um, and I think that's important to put our energy into and less into that, because that structure was created that way to run the way that it does. So trying like hell to stop that structure by speaking up, or in my eyes, it's very difficult. However, where we could have more of an opportunity of power is by going it on our own and creating our own communities and resources and bartering systems, like finding resources of, like, if somebody is good at doing something here, then somebody can have baked goods here, like trading services. I'm even opening up my services to something like that too, where I can give more, because I can see that not everybody has the financial means to be able to do things. And of course, financial means do pay for things. I get that. But if there's a way that here and there I can barter, say, if there was like baked goods or something, some things that I needed hemmed and the value's the same, then I think that there's something to that, or some fresh fruits or something like that. Like those systems are going to bring more community together, um, and less out of trying to, I've got to work 80 hours a week for these billionaires. So then that way I can afford this bag, is shifting. More of like, I can barely even afford to make my way. So a lot more people are going more homestead, more off grid, more independent. But with that yapping I'm getting into, let's go for Stephanie's purposeful pause.
Stephanie's probably got to pivot like I did.
I kind of want to. Well, I'm not going to. I'm actually going to keep what I originally had because I want to focus on the confusion. And the confusion of what we were before and what we're becoming. So I want to stay with what I have because of that. So confusion isn't a detour from becoming, it's often the doorway into it. In a world that worships clarity, timelines, and tidy narratives, confusion can feel like failure. But what if it's actually evidence that something in you is expanding beyond the old map? Confusion shows up in the cracks between identities, when who you were no longer fits and who you're becoming hasn't fully arrived. It shows up when comparison culture tells you you're behind, even though your life is unfolding on a timeline that's uniquely yours. It shows up in spiritual awakenings where the ground shifts just enough to make you question everything you thought you knew, not because you're lost, but because you're finally awake. So pause here, let your shoulders drop, let your breath deepen. What if the confusion you're feeling isn't a problem to solve, but a signal that you're in a transition, that your inner world is rearranging itself to hold a true version of you? What if you're not meant to have it all figured out yet? What if clarity is not by force, but revealed through trust? Trust in the unfolding, trust in your timing, trust in the quiet intelligence of your becoming. And so the reason I wanted to stay with that is because like a lot of the stuff that we were talking about today is, you know, just how everything is today and how it's just not making sense. So we're in a point right now in our lives and our journeys where, okay, we were like that, but we're seeing the what the fuck right now. And so now there is that confusion until we get to what we're becoming. We're gonna have those what the fuck moments.
Very
like
true.
Tina said, confusion is a doorway.
Who says
Mhm.
that?
You said earlier today
I
about
did.
confusion being a doorway to
Yeah.
pretty much opportunity.
I'm so
By saying
smart.
curious.
I did.
Curious. You said
Oh,
curious.
Stephanie
But
did. I was gonna say that didn't come from me.
I meant to say curious. Sorry. But still though, because when there's confusion going on, that means that things that looked one way are no longer looking that way. So what is going to happen? Curiosity is going to rise. I mean, confusion, curiosity, they kind of will go hand in hand in that regard, because nobody can stay stuck in confusion. Eventually they're going to try to find a way to get themselves out. And I love that, Steph, because it was definitely on par with the whole conversation. Though we branched off at using examples and real time experiences, doesn't take away from the fact of what we were talking about here today, about having to have it all figured out, but having an opportunity to have things brought into your awareness that can help you as things are unfolding. Get out of here. I'm going to mic off so then that way we can go to Tina's reflection time.
Wonderful. Okay. So, in a world obsessed with power, possessions, being right, the soul keeps whispering a quieter truth. You were never meant to keep up with the ego driven piece of the collective. You were meant to return to yourself. There is freedom that comes when you stop performing and start listening to your body, to your intuition, to the parts of you that don't need validation to exist. The world will tell you to harden, your soul will ask you to soften. The world will tell you to compete, your soul will ask you to come home. The world will tell you to be more, your soul will remind you that you are already more. Your alignment is your rebellion, your authenticity is your protection. Your presence, your real, unfiltered presence, is your true power. You don't need to shrink to fit the moment. You don't need to perform certainty. You don't need to earn your right to be here. You are allowed to be fully you, even when the world is loud, even when the ego is restless, even when the path feels unclear. Your truth doesn't need permission, it just needs space.
Snap, snap on that one. I love that. I love the reflection
Mhm.
because it's like we take this outward conversation and we can connect in, because I think that when we can reflect on what we talk about, there's another layer of understanding that we gain. So I just love that actual reflection time. I was reflecting as you were reflecting, sorry.
Mhm.
I was taking a look at, because guys, this week, obviously we're finished out, but I was seeing for next week because I was kind of curious. We're going to be talking about some interesting stuff. Let me pull it up right here real quick, about emotional safety and relationships. So next week, when we come back on Monday, our theme is going to be what emotional safety actually feels like. So, kind of on par with moving on to what we talked about today and stepping into that, that'll also kind of give you guys some tools or just some like inner reflections. We'll talk about current energies with Jupiter entering Cancer. Like, we've got some good energies this month. Planets are shifting into Cancer, though we're in Gemini season, but they're starting to make their shift. And with this shift, there's going to be a lot of coming home to self. So in Tina's reflection time, that's very on par. And then also what's on par is with what Stephanie was talking about the confusion. So with Gemini season having that emotional burnout because there's so much fast communication, there's also a lot of shifting in the way that we're communicating. So that's creating a lot of confusion. But with us shifting into Cancer, we're now being given the opportunity to come back home to self, slow down, family, intuition, love. With the way the energies are coming in, they're going to be really beautiful for that. We're going to be starting to hit retrograde seasons. And I believe that Mercury is going to be in Cancer for that retrograde season. So there's going to be kind of like an inner dialogue of communication when it comes to our stability, our family, ourselves. The mother is very around this energy. So it's going to be really beautiful that we're going into that. I just wanted to give you guys that as you go into this weekend. Get grounded, go out in nature. It's been a lot going on very fast. So nervous system regulating will be really beautiful to try to do for yourselves this weekend. Getting by water, getting out in nature, always grounding. But we will be back here Monday, giving you another week of real conversations. Though we have topics that we have presented for the week, we're still going to share what's unfolding for us individually and collectively, because I'm not afraid to talk about it, and neither are they. So, whether it's one person or everybody, we're so grateful to have you guys here in these conversations. If it resonates with you, please feel free to follow, like, and share, or even leave a comment on what you would like to know more about, or if you have any kind of questions about anything. We'll do our best to respond to whoever reaches out. But as I always say, beautiful souls, you woke up today because your soul still has purpose on this planet. And all I ask is that you live it authentically true to you. Love and light, beautiful souls. Till next time. See ya.
Peace out.